Hi, welcome to Strength Reversed. It's Amy. Thank you so much for joining me. I have a little bit of a ramble today. I can't call it exactly a ramble. I did take pages and pages of notes. I did a little bit of a dump to clear my mind, so I might be referring to these notes. So I was scrolling through Instagram, minding my own beeswax, and I saw a post that listed several negative emotions and why they're bad, and then it said get rid of all of these. And I don't know the person who posted these. I don't think they're a tarot tuber. I didn't want to do any kind of response on Instagram because I don't want to call anyone out or make anyone feel bad, because I think it was posted in a from a place of trying to be helpful. But this is an example of toxic positivity. If I think about tarot, there are no positive or negative cards in the sense of good and bad. There are only degrees of difficulty. So, for example, the Tower. It might not be what you want to see, but it's part of life. And I know there are some people who say, well, I don't want any negative cards. I'm going to get rid of the Tower. I'm going to get rid of the Devil. But that's a bit of a denial, because life is full of towers and devils. Yes, that's just part of dealing with life. There's a whole spectrum, and you can't have one without the other. One of them makes us appreciate the other. And, if everything is always going swimmingly, again, that's sort of a denial. It's just not very realistic. You can enjoy that moment and be present when things are going well and be appreciative and practice gratitude because, a lot of times, even if something is difficult, it probably could be worse. But, we always have to remember that moment is probably going to pass us by. Shit happens. And there's no real growth without solving any conflicts or engaging with those. If there's never a conflict, then the change doesn't happen. There's no story without conflict. And, we can learn from any degree of difficulty. It's easy to forget, I think, that as much resistance as I feel, like as much fear comes up when I look at this card and think about all the possible Tower moments there could be in life. The difficulties that we learn from don't have to be epic traumas. They don't have to be massive disasters. They can be just little mundane day-to-day problems that we work through. So instead of avoiding those difficult cards or difficult emotions, I think one way to approach that is to say get rid of these. That's not realistic. A better approach might be to see those as flags, as signs, as opportunities to level up in life, or to become stronger, or to learn something, or to get better, or to grow. And I know that is easy to say, because when you're in the midst of maybe something that is a major Tower moment, it's not easy in the moment to find the silver lining when you're in the midst of maybe extreme fear. It's, sometimes it requires a little time and distance in order to appreciate the positive that came out of it. In the moment, sometimes it just feels like bullshit. And that's fine. But anyway, I'm going to go through the 5 emotions and what the post said, and then a different way to maybe look at some of this. So the first one was ego, and it said ego prevents you from learning from others. Well, if you can get rid of ego, You could make $1 million, okay? Tell everyone else how to get rid of their ego. I don't know why you would want to get rid of your ego, because it's your sense of self. Now, all of these emotions can be out of whack. If you only live in ego and you allow it to run amok, then yes, that's bad. But there are things that you can still get out of it if you recognize it and keep it in balance, and or question it, or you're willing to investigate that. So I think there's a danger in maybe giving people the impression, because this person did say they were a life coach, there's a danger in thinking that winning at life or doing it right means we don't experience any negative emotions. That's nonsense. You know, if you're not experiencing any negative emotions, you're not experiencing half of like the experience of life. So it says ego prevents you from learning from others, but ego is your sense of self. An ego boost might give you a sense of pride, accomplishment, self-confidence, self-esteem. A bruised ego might be a call to remind myself of my worth, or put the perceived damage into perspective and ask myself, okay, why did that hurt? What part of me, was it that little girl? Like, what part of me was injured? Real growth can come from that if you notice it, instead of just, pointing the finger at someone else. The second one was envy, and it says envy prevents you from focusing on yourself. Yes, but it's only if you focus on the envy that it would prevent you from focusing on yourself. If that is triggered, that emotion is like, because, if you live any amount of time, you begin to understand that the grass isn't always greener, and you never know what's going on at your neighbor's house. You just can't know what's going on with people. So to be envious, a lot of times that couple that has the perfect relationship on the outside, it's a fucking train wreck on the inside. If you learn to see envy as symbolic of a part of you, and it's not really, when you're envious of someone, it's not really about them. There's just some aspect of them, or something that is within you that maybe does not have its needs met, or whatever. It just represents a quality of yourself that maybe you would like, or that you're not happy with. It's almost like a projection of, I'm not happy with myself, so I'm going to be mad at you about it. But it's a chance to be more introspective and to learn about yourself, if you're willing to explore that. The third one was anger, and it said anger prevents you from seeing clearly. And there's no doubt anger can be negative if it's allowed to be expressed in destructive ways. But anger can also spur us into action. It can drive us to make a change, and it can give us the energy to right wrongs, or to just maybe set boundaries. Anger is a useful emotion, okay? If no one was ever angry, we'd all just be, drooling on ourselves. Number 4 is ignorance, and it says ignorance prevents you from making good decisions. If you choose to remain ignorant, yes, that does prevent you from making good decisions. But if you realize that you don't know something, I didn't know that, or wow, I think I really need to learn more about this or that or the other, that can spark curiosity. It can give us the opportunity to learn something new, or learn something better, and to better ourselves. So, being ignorant is not negative. Being unwilling to acknowledge that you don't know everything, or that someone else can teach you something, is when it gets, is when that can be destructive. And the last one was fear. Fear prevents you from seizing good opportunities. And it can, especially if you're, someone like me. I've struggled with anxiety since I was in high school. Sometimes I've gone through periods of absolutely profound anxiety and panic that really limited my life. And I still have some phobias that cause me to have avoidance behaviors, but, all we can do is work on that. I'm not going to say, well, I'm experiencing fear, therefore I'm not winning, Fear also, however, can protect us. It might protect us from doing stupid things. Fear is something that can save your life if you pay attention to it. Fear is our most primal emotion, and it's there for a reason. Fear can help us put our lives into perspective and help us understand what is really important and appreciate what's important. Fear can motivate us to prepare for the future or consider consequences. Overcoming an irrational fear is an amazing feeling. It's a huge accomplishment. It's something to be proud of. And exploring fears, that, like, what better shadow work is that? So, any of these that are allowed to go unchecked or unexplored can absolutely hold us back and be not productive or be very destructive in our lives. But instead of getting rid of these things, which is not really possible to do, if the goal is to just never have any negative emotions, there's no way you can accomplish that. And so there's no way you could ever be doing it right if that's the goal. Instead, we could use these as clues or little red flags or little, messages that our higher selves send us that we could be exploring this. Like, here's our roadmap, and we could look at these signposts. But to tell someone that if you have any of these emotions, you're not doing it right, or you're being petty, or you're not spiritual enough, that's so damaging, and that's bullshit. So none of us have a hope of getting through life without experiencing these emotions and confronting these things, acknowledging them, dealing with them. That's courageous. That is the work. That's doing the work. Okay, that is mastering life, is learning how to acknowledge and confront these things in some meaningful way, even though it is, even though your ego's involved and you're jealous and you're comparing yourself and you're afraid and you don't know a lot of stuff. So that's my rant, okay? That's my ramble. And let me know in the comments below what you think. Make sure you subscribe for, obvious reasons, because I want an ego boost, okay? And I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.